You're listening to Pole Parlour, a fun, inspiring podcast for all those bewitched by pole dance. Each week, your Madam Crimson Minxxx has candid conversation with unique, engaging individuals from within and around the pole dance community. Pole Parlour is passionate about preaching creativity, soulful sensuality, and empowerment through pole dance.
You know how we do.
Welcome everyone to Pole Parlour. This is episode 30, Miss Sydney Claire. I'm your host, Crimson Minxxx. This week we have Vancouver pole babe, Miss Sydney Claire. On this episode, we talk about how Sydney has been able to find balance as a pole competitor, teacher, and performer, her journey from pole student to stripper, how her training as a visual artist contributes to her performances, and how important it is to enjoy the pole journey and support all of its diverse facets. Don't forget to check out Sydney's post-podcast interview on the blog at poleparlour.com, where she shares her favorite photos, music, video, and more. And while you're there, check out the Pole Parlour shop, which has just been stocked with brand new merch. So now, let's bring on Miss Sydney Claire.
I stand firm for our soil. Liquor rock and force, really juicy. Dress me up in stitzy. Hands round the corner.
Welcome, Miss Sydney Claire, to the Pole Parlour podcast. How are you today?
Hello, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Oh, so excited to have you on. So we can just jump right on in.
Okay.
For how long have you been pole dancing? And how did you first discover pole?
Well, I started pole dancing at the beginning of 2013, so about 3.5 years ago. And I first discovered pole, my first pole class, well, this time around was at Tantra Fitness in Vancouver, although I remembered after the fact that I'd actually taken a couple random pole classes like 10 years ago, just like randomly at a gym, and they were kind of a disaster, so didn't stick that time. But yeah, this time around, I had just moved back to Vancouver from living in London, England, and I had just stopped drinking and partying, so I had all this extra time and money and energy, and yeah, I needed like a new hobby, basically. And I went to see Cirque du Soleil, and it just really, like, I saw these people upside down in the air, and I thought, I have to do this. How do I do this? And so I started researching circus classes. I took a few circus classes here and there, and then I came across pole at Tantra Fitness, like I said, and it just spoke to me right away. I was hooked from the very first class that I took. So yeah, that was how I discovered pole, and it's become a huge part of my life. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that happens to all of us. You never think
Yes.
you just figure you're taking like this new class that you never heard of, and then we get addicted, as we're all very familiar with that feeling. And you went to, you discovered Tantra Fitness, who we have already interviewed, the owner of Tantra Fitness, Tammy Morris, who is like an old school pole dancer and had some really good stories. So if you haven't checked it out yet, check out that past episode with Tammy Morris.
Tammy is awesome.
Yes, she is. I know, she's really fun to talk to. She's so cool.
Yeah.
And Tantra
awesome.
has, a really great reputation. There's some great dancers that come out of there. So what you now teach there, you do,
I do.
like online tutorials, like you are all in now. So how did that process start for you to kind of go from student to teacher?
Well, when I first started, initially my only goal basically was I want to be a competitive pole dancer. I used to be a competitive gymnast as a child, and I did rhythmic gymnastics mostly. I wasn't super good, but anyways, it was part of my childhood. And so I thought, like, okay, this is what I want to do. And it's kind of funny, like, I listened to your last week's podcast with Kitty Marie, and she was saying how her mom calls these competitions adult dance recitals. Yeah. And that's basically it. Like, every time I'm at a competition and they do the little before, like the little meeting for the athletes, I laugh. Like, I cannot not laugh because it's so hilarious. Like, all these grown women in their like weird costumes, like asking their anxious questions. Like, it's hilarious. Anyways, I digress. So that was my goal. And at the time I had no job really. I was new to the city, so I didn't have any friends, and I have an addictive personality, which is why I don't drink anymore. So this was like my replacement, basically.
Way healthier. Way healthier.
Yes. Yes. Although, I mean, maybe I kind of went a little bit unhealthy with the way I was approaching things, because I was totally obsessed, and, you know, I had a lot of injuries in that first year because I pushed myself beyond my abilities. But anyways, I made it my focus to compete, and I accomplished that goal after about a year. And then at the big provincial competition, I came second instead of first.
Unacceptable.
I know. I was tragic. So. Anyways, I think that the standings were correct. Actually, like, the girl that won totally should have won. She's my friend, and she's awesome. However, because I had put that pressure on myself leading up to the competition, I was so anxious. On the day I was so anxious, I didn't enjoy myself on stage. I felt horrible afterwards because I thought, oh, I can do better. And it just became this really negative experience because I totally did not have balance in my life at all. I was only thinking about, how do I win? How do I make myself better? So immediately following that experience, I really became disillusioned with the whole pole dancing thing and was questioning why I was even doing it. And it was during that time where I was approached by one of my instructors who suggested that I should be teaching exotic dance, which initially exotic dance was actually not something that I was interested in when I started pole. Like I said, I was a gymnast, I was a circus artist, I didn't want to wear the heels, I was a little bit judgmental about the women that dance that way or whatever. I mean, I didn't even realize I was judgmental, but I was, looking back.
In retrospect.
And and I just thought, oh no, that's not something that I would ever do. You know, that's for other people. And after I realized, you know, after a few months of pole dance or doing pole, that if I took the exotic dance class, then I would actually learn how to dance. I would learn how to string these moves together in a way that was pleasing for myself and for other people to watch. So that's how I got into it. And it ended up being a style that I really, really love and have really is my main focus. Everything I teach now is exotic dance or lap dance or a floor work. And so anywho, it was
a good balance too. If you're doing a lot of competitions and
yes, it was completely therapy. I can even look back on my Instagram account like to a couple years ago, and I would post these videos from exotic dance class, and I would say like, this is my therapy before a competition, and it really was. It's, you know, that's when pole started to become more of like a holistic thing and like almost like a spiritual thing. And so I was approached by one of my instructors. She encouraged me to teach, and that was my really good friend Vanessa, or Sonia Sloan, as you may know her on Instagram. She's an amazing dancer, huge inspiration to myself and many other people at Tantra. She's been teaching there for like 8 years. So she's the one that encouraged me to get into teaching. And once I started teaching others, I completely fell in love with pole all over again. And I became motivated because I wanted to be better for my students as opposed to be better for a competition that doesn't mean anything, you know. And it just became a completely different thing for me. And I became much happier, and I became a better dancer and pole dancer in a lot of ways. In some ways not, because when you teach a lot, it's, you know, you see all these people that don't teach and have all this time to learn all these new tricks and train all the time. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta come up with this floor work routine, you know, shit, you know. So, and for me, it really has been a huge benefit to my life. And so that's how I kind of fell in love with pole again.
I think that if you were just concentrating on competitions, you would go insane. So,
oh my God,
I think that it is probably helping you more than you know to get you out of your head, to get you out of just thinking about yourself. So, that's another way of looking at it.
Well, and when the competitions I've done since I've been teaching have been much more enjoyable and because I have a balance, and it's like I train when I can, but my first priority was, am I prepared for this class? And that's it. And then you fit in the training when you can. And it's like, I'm not going to be trying to be like some Olympic level world champion pole dancer. Like it's just not me. So, and my body can't handle that type of training anyway. So I'm happy with the balance I have now.
Yeah. So you're still doing the competitions. How many competitions have you done?
I've done 9 or 10 competitions, I want to say, something like that. Yeah. So I kept competing, mostly out of peer pressure, honestly. Like a lot of this is kind of why, like, I'm on a hiatus from competing right now, I think. And a lot of that has to do with, like, I only enjoy competing when I don't really, like, try that hard. And if I'm training and spending all this time worrying about my routine, I get really miserable. Like this year, training for the BC Pole Fitness Championships, I threatened to quit every single time. I'd be like training alone. This is the thing too. I'd always be by myself because I don't know, just how it worked out. And I'd be like trying to do a pole pass and then be texting my friends like, I'm quitting. I hate this. Pole dancing is the worst. I hate that. And they're like, no, you can't. So anyways, in a lot of ways, it was like, if I'm making it too big of a focus, it becomes really negative for me. So
yeah.
Anyways, but I do love performing.
Yeah, and you just did pole theater US.
Yes.
So you compete both in Canada and the USA, and that has more of probably a more performance requirement to it, where you as opposed to maybe the more strict competitions that you do in Canada, like nationals and things like that. So can you tell us what was pole theater like? That's one of my favorite competitions, and they're all around. They're in UK and Australia, and started by Shimmy and Sparkle. So
yes, that was awesome. Pole theater was really fun. I definitely was not as prepared maybe as I would have liked. I had a plan for the routine I was going to do. I was going to do a version of the routine I competed at nationals this year, but make it sexy, because I was competing in the pole classic category, semi-pro. And I just was like so sick of, I just couldn't do it. I was sick of it. And I just couldn't bring myself to practice anymore. So I found a new song. I changed my theme last minute, like after the deadline. I'm emailing like, I want to change my song. I want to change my theme. Anyways, they were very accommodating.
okay.
But it ended up that I didn't even do a run through my routine until the day of the competition. So I feel like if I even had if a little bit more time, it would have been a little bit more polished. But for me, I had way more fun. I was way more excited training for it because I had a new theme and a new concept, and I wasn't just doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and trying to be perfect. So in the end, it was probably the right choice for me. But, of course, I'm so critical. So I watched the video and I'm like, oh, well, maybe if I had practiced it,
Yeah, but you know what? You have to. That's really good advice, I think, is that you need to be creatively excited about something, your routine, if you're competing. Otherwise, you are not going to want to practicing. And if you find that you don't want to practice it, maybe it is because there's like that missing element that's turning you on, and that ultimately will turn the judges on, But even we actually had Kitty Maria was on 2 weeks ago. We had Crystal Belcher on last week, and she had a similar story of how last minute at PSO she changed her entire routine, and she said, I knew I wasn't going to place or anything, but I loved training for it, and I felt like it was no regrets doing it at all, and that it was that same I just wasn't feeling that first one. So
totally,
it's good to know that you could do that.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm good at freestyle, and I can kind of throw things together last minute, I guess. But and it's funny because I think it all worked out in the end too, because that routine, I did a Snow White routine, and so sexy Snow White, and it's that costume that I had made for the competition has now being given new life in my new life as an exotic dancer. So I'm like stripperfying my pole competition outfit. So it was like when I got that job, I was like, oh, I already have a costume. I'm Snow White. So it all worked out in the end.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I want to talk about that in a little bit. So,
Okay.
so hold that thought. But
Okay.
yeah, so you because another thing I wanted to touch on quick is that you're also an artist. You're a visual artist.
Yes,
So can you
I
tell us
am.
a little bit about that? And like,
Yes.
do you think that affects your
Oh,
poem?
absolutely.
Right? Okay.
And in a few different ways. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm a visual artist. I got a degree in fine art from Central St. Martin's College of Art and Design in London, England. And while I was there, I started as a painter and a photographer, and then I mostly moved into video art and film. I've done some performance art as well. So this is like my other life. I like to say I kind of have a little bit of a double life in a way, but I've been trying to kind of meld my two lives together in a way that makes sense. So since I started pole, I was like, this has to be part of my art somehow. How do I make it happen? And in terms of like, I do believe that my pole dancing is another art form as well. Mm-hmm. And for sure, when in terms of like teaching my classes and putting a routine together, like my style is all about like angles and shapes on the pole and like things that a lot of people don't necessarily naturally think about. That's really what I'm thinking about, is like, how can I make this look visually appealing for the audience, as opposed to, it's like I don't do a ton of strength stuff. It's mostly like pretty shapes and things like that. And even when I do floor work, I tell my students that a lot too, because you can do some move with your leg, and if you have the wrong angle, it's going to look really bad. But if you have the right angle, even if it's like a small adjustment by like a few inches with your leg or your body part, you can create this shape that's visually stunning. So I really try and bring that to all my routines, and it's a big part of my style. So in that way, it's really helped me. And as well as my background, I've done a lot of theater and music, and I'm also a singer, and done all these performing things that really speaks to my pole as well. In fact, I was singing last night I just joined my friend's band I've started singing with. They do like burlesque and 60s and 70s music. So that's what I was doing last night. And tonight I'm at my other stripping job. But anyways, and today I'm here with you. So yeah.
That's so funny. You should get in touch with Kitty Marie, because she wants her next pole venture to include her singing on the pole too. So maybe you guys can create a pole dancing band where you guys are like singing.
Oh my God. It's so funny. I've had this joke for a while that I want to invent musical theater pole. And like I had a dream about it one time that I had a stress dream that I had to do my musical theater pole routine, and I forgot the lyrics, and I was like out of breath. And then actually there was a girl at Pole Theater USA who did sing during her whole routine. So anyways, it's been done, but anyways, there's always a new way to do things.
Yes, there's always a way to reinterpret things or do it on a different scale. So
exactly. So anyways, in that way, I for sure believe that my visual art background has helped me in terms of my pole. And but another really exciting project that I'm working on right now is actually a film that I'm collaborating on with my friend Lauren Marsden, who's a really great local Vancouver artist. And so, like I was saying, I've been trying to figure out a way to combine the two, but I'm like, I am a pole dancer. I'm in the pole community, so I can only see it from a purist perspective. Yeah. So I was struggling, and I was like, it's okay. I'll just have this double life. It's fine. But she approached me, and she really wanted to collaborate on something. So basically, we're making a sci-fi film that it's in progress right now, and it's using pole dancing as an allegory for a near future post-energy crisis world. Okay?
Okay, wait, let me try and wrap my head around that.
So, yeah, it's a little bit what the fuck, right? Yeah. And she basically and we're working on a series of new moves. So I'm going to hopefully invent some new moves and some new sequences based off of kind of prompts that she's given me that are inspired by like an urban industrial landscape. And I just thought that was so insanely interesting, because she approached me. We weren't sure what we wanted to do. And we got together a few times. She asked me a million questions, and she's like, just show me some moves. And she became really interested in the names of all these pole moves, which, if you think about it, are really weird. Because like some of them are named after people. Some of them are based on like visually what they look like. Some of these pole moves, it's like a progression, like an evolution. Like say the broken bird is because it kind of looks like the broken, the bird of paradise. And like, there's all these moves that are kind of linked in that way. And so, yeah, she came up with this idea of like, would you be able to come up with stuff if I gave you the names of something? And I was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. And then,
so she's coming up with names and you have to interpret it. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. And then and I think because of like the metal pole, it kind of gave her these like post-industrial kind of ideas that I would never think that, because I'm not an outsider, but she's coming at it from a new perspective. And so in this film, it's just, I haven't read the script. She hasn't written it totally yet, but basically I'm playing like a robot flight attendant who discovers a bird of paradise flower on the plane, basically. And it's the last one in the world, and she escapes, and it's kind of uses these like, these very, familiar trope of like a robot or a cyborg going rogue and breaking away from their programming. And anyways,
Ooh.
I don't want to say too much more about the plot. I haven't read the script yet, but this is all the things we've been talking about. So I'm super excited about that and potentially bringing pole dancing to a new audience outside of just pole dancers. And 'cause, a lot of these, films that have been made about pole dancing so far, it's like some of them are great, but it's always like, we're pole dancers, we're not strippers, or, whatever it is. It's kind of like, and they're just kind of for other pole dancers. I don't know. I mean, this to me is really exciting because it's kind of opening up new possibilities in terms of movement and in terms of how people can view pole dancing. So
yeah,
I'm super excited about that.
And it's integrating pole, because I look at like old, movies that have pole dancers and they're not really doing anything, like,
yeah.
I have no idea what movie it was, but Jessica Biel was in a movie where she pole danced, and I don't know the name of it. I'm awful with movies.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Google
yeah, they
it.
never do anything.
Google it. But she was the first one that I remember being like, oh my God, she's like inverting. You can tell she prepared for the role. Like she probably took some pole dance classes, and she impressed me. But usually when you have pole in a movie, it's like, oh, they're just walking around or whatever, nothing too impressive. So you'll be in a film and be actually showing off pole skills.
Yes.
More than just like doing some spins or walking just in the background of a strip club or something.
Yeah.
So that's
it's
really
gonna
rad.
It's gonna be cool, and my boyfriend's gonna be in it too, and I don't know. I've post videos of him on my Instagram sometimes. Giles Reckless. If you haven't followed him or seen him doing his pole moves, he's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
he's got his own style.
That's what's fun when people like get like their non-pole dancing boyfriends just to like, you give this a try. He has good spirit, I will say.
He does.
It's
very very inspiring.
It in the relationship, yeah. Even though like we had Lauren Lukrich on from Kiska, and she said that she's had boyfriends start joining their girlfriends in class just to like hang out together more. So it's becoming a thing. It's becoming a thing.
Totally.
And so that's a really cool project. And you also hinted before that you are now, after doing like teaching and doing these competitions and being like really in the pole world in that way, kind of doing a reverse now, doing stripping.
Yay! So excited!
Yeah, a lot of strippers, people start as strippers, like a lot of the people we've had on the podcast start as strippers and then enter the pole dance community wanting to learn more. You started out pole dancing, and this is what's funny. I didn't realize this. You said you didn't even want to wear the shoes. You weren't even into it. So, but did you have that, you just... did you have that type of confidence and that type of sensuality coming into the pole, or did you learn it and now you want to strip?
I think, I'll answer the first part of that question first. For me, I touched on this before, but I had all these judgments about, the exotic dance side of things, when secretly, like, I always was fascinated by it, but I thought, I had these judgments basically against myself. And I think a lot of that was societal, that I was just ingrained in me. And a lot of that came from just my 20s and my years of drinking and doing drugs and partying the way that I did. And I ended up in a lot of situations. Basically, I never made the choice to engage in anything sexual. Like, it just happened. So I had this disconnect from my sexuality, and I had this intense judgment against myself about, the things I had done, or I just didn't realize that this was something that was healthy and natural and that I could be in control of and that I could express in a way that felt good. So I think a lot of it was coming from that. And like I said, a lot of it was just, society tells women that it's not okay to be sexy. It's not okay to express yourself in that way, that if women choose to do that, they have daddy issues. There's something wrong with them. They're drug addicts. They're this and that. And so all that was kind of in my subconscious. And once again, as I got more involved in the pole community, I started to wonder, why do I have these judgments? This is really weird. I don't think of myself as a judgmental or closed-minded person. And that's when I kind of started to unpack all these things and sort of understand why I thought that I felt this way. And yeah, so that's when I started kind of realize these things and realized that they were bullshit, and that it was totally okay to be sexy, and it was a really great, wonderful, and healthy, great thing. And that's when I got more into exotic dance, and I became curious about actually being an exotic dancer, just because I'm around a lot of people that do that for a living. Just at Tantra, we're a super open studio. We have many, many different styles, and we are accepting of everybody, and everyone's kind of cool with whatever style you have, whatever you want to do. So I had this one friend in particular who would come to a lot of my classes, and she was a burlesque performer who had become an exotic dancer, and she was a singer and a musician and a really cool person. And I kind of started to ask her about it a little bit. I was curious. I'm like, and also, because actually a lot of my students would always say, so when are we going to get you stripping? When are you going to come work at the strip club? And I would always say, no, I can't. But it was kind of like in my subconscious. And so I kind of asked her about it, and we had a few conversations. And then the beginning of this year, my friend's name is Nikki Nine Doors. She's on Instagram as well. She's a really great, awesome performer.
I will put her link in the show notes.
Ms. Nine Doors is her Instagram.
Okay.
So she produced a show called Retro Strip Show, which I have been lucky enough to be in 2 of those so far. And basically this show was a kind of throwback or homage to the origins of striptease, especially in Vancouver and this part of the world, where women would perform with a live band. So she wanted to kind of pay homage to that and celebrate that style of exotic dance. So we have a live band. So it's all music from the 60s and 70s, all performed live on stage. The band is with you, and we do it in a strip club. And so this was like, she asked me to be part of it because I had these conversations with her. She said, are you still interested in stripping? And I was like, oh my God, I would love to be in this. And I was like, by the way, I actually sing as well. And so I got to be in the band as well. So singing songs for the other girls, as well as performing as one of the dancers. And it really kind of blew my mind. I mean, I was spoiled because this night is produced by women. The audience is mostly female. Everybody's so supportive. It's the best energy of any show I've ever been to. It's sold out both times. It's insane. So that I did the first one, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool.
And then
full nude. So
okay.
We don't have the same rules here as you guys have. So yeah, it was, you start with a full costume and then you end up totally nude. So,
okay.
And I had done a couple amateur nights before that. I was dipping my toe in the water,
Yeah.
And so I did this show. I was like, oh my God, this is the best night of my life. And then I went back right away to competition training, and I was like, kill me. This is so horrible. I hate this. I was so miserable training for competitions. Whereas with this stripping thing, I was like, I get to control my costume. I can pick my music. I get paid. I get to make eye contact with people. That was the thing that I really didn't realize about stripping, is the audience is right there and you're making eye contact, you're making them happy right in the moment. Like it is if on a good night, it's an exchange of love and happiness and joy, which is something I never, like, we're told in society that being a stripper is sad and the people that go to strip clubs are gross and the whole thing is negative, when it really doesn't have to be that way. And so far in my experiences, it hasn't been, but like I said, I've been really spoiled and I've only worked these like amazing nights. But anyways, so that was a huge eye opener for me. And, you know, so I did that. And then I did 3 competitions since I did the BC Pole Fitness Championships. I did nationals. I did pole theater. And, you know, they all had their good points and everything. And, but all through that, like, I couldn't stop thinking about what I was going to do for the next retro strip show, what my songs were going to be. And like, that was really what I was excited about. And, so I kind of tried to get this job at a certain club in Vancouver called the Granville Strip, which is where I've been hired. And, at first they wouldn't let me audition. They were being kind of weird about it and la la la. But I'm really lucky that I had so many friends that work there and were just saying, you should let her work there. You should let her audition. She's great. I believe in her. She's awesome. My friend Nikki, who I mentioned, works there too. And basically, like, I joke, she's like my manager. She pretty much got me the job. So she just told them I was awesome. And then they needed dancers. And then they let me audition. They hired me on the spot. So I've been working there for a few weeks. And so far, so good, although I did really hurt myself on stage. So
What'd you do? What happened?
Such a rookie mistake. I was late-ish. I was rushing. I didn't have time to stretch. And then I thought, like, I'll just warm up on stage. And then I did a drop split off the pole and and just could feel like go. And then I had 2 more shows after that. So I just like kept going. I can't be held responsible for what happens when the stripper persona takes over, you know? So that was, it was, I'm currently unable to do the splits, which for me is really terrifying because like my whole act is like splits on the pole, splits on the floor, splits, drop splits, splits over here, splits over there. And I'm like I have to go in and work tonight. So I'm like, I wonder what I'm going to do on stage. This will be interesting.
Oh my God.
But,
even if you are stripping, you have to stretch.
Yes, and it's so funny because I am like so careful with my body normally, and I always warm up for like an hour, and I would never touch a pole without stretching. I take so many rest days. I'm always so scared to be injured, and I just like was like, whatever, I'll be fine. And then, anyways, yes, always stretch.
And so can you tell us about the strip clubs, as you mentioned, in Canada and in Vancouver are a bit different than in the US. And can you tell us a little bit, other than the fact that they're all nude, is what is it? Are you rotating? Are you, one song going on and off? Are you doing
one song? No. 18 minutes a set.
So each girl, let me get this right. Each girl, so it's on the stage.
Yeah. So
there's one girl on the stage at a time, or the multiple stages?
Well, the club where I work, there's one main stage. We have a 23-foot pole, which is awesome. Wow, so you can like climb way the hell up. And then they also have like some side poles that are just on little platforms. So like when no one's on stage, like some other girls could do stuff on the side poles and try and get tips that way. But you do at least 3 sets a night, and it's 18 minutes a set. So that's like 4 or 5 songs.
Exhausting.
Yes.
Good Lord.
So you gotta like take your time, and don't go too crazy right off the bat. So it's a lot of energy. Yes. So that's the stage shows, and you get paid per stage show, plus you get tips.
So you
if
get
you're lucky,
a base salary and tips.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I get a paycheck. It's awesome.
Oh, wow.
I get my stripping paycheck. It's great. And then you also, so that's if you do stage, and then there's also VIP dances. So as a stage girl, I don't have to do those, which let me tell you, I am not good at hustling at all. Like at all. I'm the most awkward person. I first went to work there just as to do VIP dances because they wouldn't let me do stage at first. And it's just like, oh my God, I'm so awkward. I would just be like, hi, it's my first time. They were like, you get away from me. I'm like awkwardly standing in the corner, just like not talking to anyone. I made like $30. It was pathetic. So
what do you have to do? What are VIP dances? Are these like lap dances or are these like private table dances? Okay.
These are like at the club where I work, it's no contact. So basically, if you do private dance with someone, you take the person into this into like a little like area that has a curtain, and then they have cameras, so there's a girl that's watching to make sure they don't touch you, and you just dance for 3 minutes. You take off all your clothes. You basically get naked with the person, but they can't touch you. Okay. And you get paid. If you're a stage girl, you get like $50 per dance. If you're not a stage girl, you get 40. And yeah, so you can work in a strip club and just do that. So you don't do stage, you just come into work and you just hustle all night long trying to sell dances. And I have friends that do that and are really good at it. And I am not one of those people. So I was like, oh, let me do stage, please. Like, I thought like, oh, I'll go in and I'll do VIP dances just to kind of get my foot in the door. But like, it's not going to work out for me. It is. It's scary. And it's scary too if you're sober, because like I can't have a glass of wine to like loosen me up or pretend like I'm interested.
Yeah.
No, I'm just like, you have to stay till 3 a.m. Like if you're a stage girl, you don't have to do that. You can leave after your last show. And I could make a lot more money if I tried to sell dances. But honestly, it takes me like an hour to stop sweating after my show. And then I just have to like lie
18
there.
minutes.
Yeah, I'm like, and then like maybe I'll go on the floor for like 10 minutes and then I have to go get ready for my next show. So
okay. So yeah, that's cool because girls with pole backgrounds like yourselves can still go work, perform, get paid to just dance on stage if that's what you're looking for. But then also people have no interest in the pole and just want to hustle strip club style. Also have that option. So it sounds like you found a good place. A place that suits you.
It really does. And another so like I said, I work with all my friends, and it's weird because it's not this particular club. You can't work at any other clubs in Vancouver if you work there for some reason. I'm not totally sure why, but basically like they have all the girls
bring their clients to other clubs.
Yeah,
and
basically.
They want people to always go there to see you.
Yeah, basically. So they have a lot of like yoga instructors and people like they have like, yeah, like it's not your stereotypical strip club. Like, and the thing I realized too, even because it's great to make money finally after spending so much money competing. Like after pole theater, it was really great, but I spent thousands of dollars basically. Like when it comes to flight, accommodation, I rented a car, I got a costume. Like I was like, cool. Like why again? I don't remember. And it was a fun experience. I don't regret doing it, but it definitely was, and like I did it. And I was kind of like, I'd like to actually make some money at this. So that's one great thing. But the other thing too is, even with pole theater with no, like not as many rules, there's still rules. There's no rules in a strip club. Like, and they want you to go bigger with your costume, especially where I work. They want like, they want bigger costumes. There's like more stuff you can take off. It's a long, like I said, a long set, so you can do more things. Yeah. And I could do the similar thing every night and kind of hone a few different acts. And I realized like I can get more creative with my pole doing this than even some competitions. Because when you're doing competitions, you just practice one thing. And I never really thought of it like that. And it's like I said, we have this big giant pole. I can do my pole tricks and like have a stage to perform on, because that's what I love. And it's not always worth it to just train for months for 4 minutes on stage, even if you win, so that to me was like, that was like a really interesting thing.
Yeah. And so you start clothed, and then so you start with a costume and then you strip down. And so it is like a burlesque stripper strip club
Yeah.
pole type combo, as opposed to, at a lot of the clubs, you just come out naked, especially in the United States. There's not.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah. That's really interesting because like I love going to Portland because of all the strip clubs they have there, but a lot of those places the girls are just naked or they like maybe have like a tiny bikini on and that's it. And that's great for pole and stuff, but I mean I'm like, and this is the thing I need to work on the most is figuring out how to take off clothes. Cause like there's so many times where I'll just like take off everything and I'm like, fuck, I have like 15 minutes left. Like, oh my God. Or like, yes, exactly. Or I'll get stuck. Like got stuck in my costume where I like stepped on my skirt and like ripped it off by accident. I just laugh when that happens. And like, that's just fun too. Like you can just be yourself.
They didn't deduct points, I don't think.
No, I'm not getting points deducted. I still got tips and, and you can like just talk to, I like talking to people. I like when strippers talk to you. I'm like, hi, how's it going? Give me some money.
It's such a unique experience, yeah.
Yeah, it's super fun. So I'm loving it so far.
Sounds like I can tell the way you talk about. I can tell it's what you're into right now because when you talk about that versus talking about competing, whatever, you could just tell that it's really like soul fulfilling for you.
Yeah, it is, and I think too, like, I think it's just really interesting to be doing this thing that like people have had such judgments against for so many years and that society still totally looks down upon. And my experience of it has been the complete opposite of that. I've met so many amazing women and like it's such an empowering and amazing thing to do. For myself that like, I'm just interested in just exploring that and seeing how far I can go with it. I'm not saying like, I'm not saying I want to do it forever, or like maybe in a year I won't want to do it anymore or whatever, but just like, I don't know. I think it's kind of important for me to explore this and to be like part of this group of women that are doing this like brave thing. Because it is brave to get on stage and like get naked. Not everyone wants to do it. And I mean, it is very liberating and fun. So, like, I recommend you try. I recommend everyone does it. But
everyone, go get a stripper job.
Yeah.
And obviously, you can't speak for other people. It's not, your experience isn't everyone's. But it is cool to know that there are so many different venues. Like I was talking to Anne-Marie Davies just last week about this, and she works at Jumbo's, which is like more of like a bikini dancing bar. In Los Angeles, but I've
been there. I love Jumbo's.
Yeah, she was a Spearmint Rhino winner and did tours. So around all of those strip clubs.
What's Spearmint Rhino?
Spearmint Rhino is I'm gonna have someone come on and talk about this, but it's like a chain of strip clubs.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah, it's like it's like the TGI Fridays of strip clubs, but no, but they have they crown someone every year and then they pay for them to tour around and they go and they tour around all the different Spearmint Rhino strip clubs around the country. But she won that one year, and she has a very similar experience to you where she completely loved it and didn't see any downfalls. But then you talk to some people who are maybe in shadier strip club situations and it's not so empowering. So it's good to have the conversation. I think it's good to have the conversation about both for sure, and especially as pole dancers, some people just are interested in our history, and so it's cool to know what does your boyfriend think? What do your family think?
Well, my boyfriend's been really supportive.
Cool.
I also think he's like jealous. He probably wants to do it himself, but he's been really awesome. And like, I remember my first night working at the club, he sent me this text that was just like, I'm so proud of you. It's so brave what you're doing. It takes so much courage and like, congratulations and all this stuff. So he's been really good. I mean, he's not as stoked about doing VIP dances. Like when I went in to do that, he was a little bit like, what are you doing with your life? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I mean, like I said, at first I was worried about that, but I just, like this is what I wanted to do, and I have a really accepting and supportive partner. So I think any sort of reservations that he had, he's really worked through it, and he kind of, it's like with anything, like, but he was open to it, so it worked out. So yeah, and he's really supportive. He's driving me there tonight. Dropping me off. He's like, I'd be honored. So.
Do you have a stripper?
Yeah, I do.
You don't have to share it if it's private.
I can. Well, right now it's Jasmine or Jasmine Jade, if I want to have a last name. So that was funny too, because I thought like, I'll just be Miss Sydney Claire. This is like my pole dancing name. So I'll just be Miss Sydney Claire. It's like my Instagram name. And then I just got like, I might want a secret identity. And now it's like, when they say like my name, Jasmine, before I go on stage, it's like super hot. And then it's like, yeah, I'm Jasmine. Like, I'm not Sydney. I'm this other person. And then it kind of, I can let go a little bit more. Like, I can like really go there with people, you know, I can like make eye contact or whatever and like talk to people and not feel like, what are you doing, Sydney? Like, because Sydney is like awkward and weird. And like,
Jasmine.
Yeah. But Jasmine is like, she's like a sex goddess. So yeah, it's kind of fun.
I think even people, you know, obviously Crimson Minxxx is not what my parents named me. That would be really weird. But I love having a pole name. And you think about it, like Derby girls, they have stage names. Yeah. And that's because they're like, they're like Wrecking Ball or whatever, you know, like their names are, it's very suiting. Like, we're going to go out there and we're going to like crush these people, or like, you know, these burlesque people have their own names and they are all like evocative. And so you can kind of like strip maybe your corporate job self and come into this new persona. So I think stage names are rad. I'm glad
it's super fun. Yes. And it's funny about like the rest of my family, like how do they think about this? Because I had an kind of a conversation with my mom last night. I haven't officially like told my family that I work in a strip club. They know that for the most part, know that I've done retro strip show a couple times, and like I don't hide it. And my mom has been at both retro strip shows. She was like super supportive. The first one, I think she was a little bit like shocked.
Of course.
But the second one, she was very like, I think she could enjoy it a little bit more. Like the shock of seeing me strip was gone and she really could appreciate it. So that was cool. But like last night, so she came to the gig I was out singing at, and I had all these amazing pictures from retro strip show that are like amazing. I'm going to be posting them as the weeks go on. But so I was showing her these pictures and she's like, oh wow, you're so sexy, Sid. And I was like, yeah, I love being a stripper. And she goes, you're not a stripper. Don't say that. You are not a stripper. You're a dancer, you're an artist, you're a singer. And I was just kind of like, let her have this like moment where I'm like, she's supportive, but there's something about like society has not yet gotten to the place where they can see that being a stripper is creative and athletic, and it's like a beautiful profession, or it can be, and it should be. It doesn't have to be demonized. So even though she's seen me strip, she can't yet say like I'm a stripper. Whereas I feel like eventually I'll just tell her and she'll totally be fine with it because she's supportive. But it was just interesting that I'm like, wow, you saw me strip, but I'm not a stripper. Okay, whatever you need to say.
Yeah, I have no idea how I would handle that. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't feel like I have to lie about it. So I told my little sister, but she was like, oh, as long as you're safe. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm loving it. My bank account's safe now that I get paid instead of paying people to let me get on stage. It's ridiculous.
You found your thing, and that makes me real happy.
Yeah. But I still love teaching as well. So I'm really happy that I have the ability to still work at the club and then also have my life teaching as well, which is another great thing about the place where I work. So
I've heard there are studios that are like so anti-stripper, which is absurd.
So weird.
Considering it's what allowed you to even be a studio in the first place, like historically.
Exactly.
But you know, we're opening minds here, and you know that's why we try to have all different people on the show that come from all different perspectives to show how really diverse pole is and how many different places you can take it.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, going into the second, since you listen to podcasts, you know we have our standard questions that we ask everyone.
Yes.
So let's dive into that.
Okay. I have notes.
Okay, good. I'm glad you prepared.
I was like, okay.
I know what she's going to ask. And you know, the first question is, who is your pole crush?
Okay. So I have a few for different reasons.
Sure.
First, I need to say my original pole crush is Phoenix Kazri, who is not known for her exotic style, but she was one of the first dancers I saw a video of her, and I was like, whoa, what is this? Who is this woman? And she totally blew me away. And then she actually taught me how to climb a pole. And this is a funny story because, and she has told this story too, but basically she taught a workshop and it said all levels. And I had only been pulling for like a few weeks and I couldn't climb or I couldn't invert or anything. So I took this workshop and she's like, okay, so everybody can invert and Superman and inside leg, outside leg. I was like, I can't do any of those things. And she was like shocked. And then like quickly like showed me how to climb a pole and then like kind of tried to help me with like some of these moves and inversions and stuff. And it was like a choreography class, but it was hard. And anyways, I didn't realize, but I got through it and it was super fun. And I actually did a private with her like 2 years later and said like, I don't know if you remember me, but like I took this workshop and I couldn't climb the pole. And she was like, oh my God, that was you. I talk about that in every workshop. Cause now I always ask people, you may think this is crazy, but I'm going to ask you, can you climb the pole? Because one time there was this girl and she couldn't do it. And I was like,
yeah, that was me. Level. You said open level.
Yeah. I was like,
that word.
Exactly. So anyway, she was one of my original crushes. And of course, like Alethea Austin, who a lot of people have said I love her. I just love the way she moves and how smooth she is. I really have been loving Amy Hazel lately with all the shapes that she makes. I love that, like that style, spin pole, shapes on spin pole. I'm all about that. Yeah. Do you know who Lindsay Dement is?
Yes, from.
I love her. I think so. Yeah. I love her. Like, I want to like be her friend. So, Lindsay, if you're listening, what's up? Let's be friends. I don't know if she listens, but if I ever meet her, I'll tell her to check out. I added her on Facebook and was just like, "You rock! I love you." Anyways, I love her. Like, super fun style.
She's from Texas.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Maybe Austin. Maybe we'll become best friends, and then we'll.
Yes. Oh yeah, you're moving soon. Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
But she is actually a really good dancer, and no one's ever brought her up. And I don't know how well known she is in the community, but she's really unique.
She's super unique, and she did this freestyle. I think it was at the Bringing Sexy Back showcase last year, so 2015. And she did like it was to Bitch Better Have My Money by Rihanna, and it was like so good. I just love this video, and maybe I'll send you the link. You can post it.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. So that. Like just kind of made me fall in love with her. I was like, she's just so fun. And I love those dancers that like bring that fun energy to pole, and she's sexy, but it's not, sometimes the sexy gets a little too serious. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Still have to have fun.
Yeah. And so I really dig her style. And of course, Olga Koda and all the Russians are amazing right now. It's funny though, cause like a lot of like, I'm inspired by them for the stuff that I teach in class, but like I would like never do that stuff on stage stripping. Like I gotta save my energy. That stuff is hard. Yeah. I'm like I'm gonna go a little bit slower and then use my energy on the pole.
If you have any power
yes,
you do one of exactly. Crazy leg things.
Exactly. Yeah. And okay, I know I have a lot of crushes, but okay, I would have to mention Magnus Lobby. Do you know this dancer? Okay. No. He's, in terms of guys.
I love this question because I feel like we all are learning so many more people that it's just impossible to keep up with everyone. So tell us about him.
He is Danish. So I'm half Danish. So like right away, like I love him. But I've seen him compete a couple times. He competed at Pole Classic last year. And then this year at Pole Theater, he was my favorite performance. He didn't win, but he was in the polar category, and he did a silent routine. There was a little bit of music at the end, but the first like 2 minutes of his routine at least was complete silence. Wow. And it was just so like his breath. And yeah, it just was so stunning. And the way he moves on static pole, like this is something I'm not a big static pole person. Like I'm all about spin, and the way he rotates on static pole is like amazing to me. And he's like got this beautiful, like happy face. And like, anyways, since I saw that performance, I'm like, oh my God, I love him. So definitely you should check him out. And then I gotta like mention some of my amazing stripper ladies that have been inspiring me lately. Like there's a couple. So I gotta shout out my friend Jackie Brown. Okay. She is like, she brings so much joy and energy to the stage and this happy smile. And like that energy, like I first saw her dance and I was like, she's just so happy. Like it's impossible to not be happy when you watch her dance. And she's not doing the hardest, craziest things. And she's actually been taking some private lessons with me to like learn pole tricks and stuff. But like her energy and her flow and just like, she doesn't even do that much on stage. It's just like this joy that she brings. And, so I've just been really loving that. And Sachi Onyx Keller is another amazing dancer from Canada. I was like, she does these crazy, like she'll start out her set like dressed as a giant banana or something, and then like super strong, like really, or like she'll be a sumo wrestler. She'll be like, she does this crazy wild stuff, and then by the end she's got like the fire out and like all like it's crazy. Canada, we get crazy up here with exotic dance. Like it gets a little intense.
After I take my trip to Portland to visit all the strip clubs there, then I'm going to Vancouver and I want to see all the clubs out there.
Yeah, I gotta learn fire. Fun. I gotta learn some fire stuff. That's the next thing. I'm like, I just want to get wild. I want to get crazy up there. Yeah. So, but yeah, those are, I mean, there's just so many dancers. Yeah. Like I could go on forever.
That's a great collection. It seems like you respond to people's energy, which is like very interesting. That you find that a lot. So
yeah, I mean,
good for people to look up.
Yeah. That's what I'm more, cause I mean, tricks are tricks. I'm like, anyone can kind of do a trick. Like if you train hard enough, you can do it. I mean, not everybody, but it's like I'm more interested in the intention behind things and like the art. Yeah, basically, that's kind of my thing. So yeah,
gotcha.
Those are my pole crushes.
They're all good ones. And so, how would you like to see the pole community evolve over the next 5 years?
Okay, so. I would like to see, and a lot of people have said this, like more unity, but in the sense that I want all the different styles of pole to support each other. And whether you're a stripper or you're like in the Olympics, like they're both valid. I would love for pole to be in the Olympics, even though that's not me. Like I love gymnastics. I'm obsessed with gymnastics. I would love that. But it doesn't mean that being a stripper is any less important. I think that they should both be valued and that we should just support everyone's pole journey no matter what it looks like. And that's like the main thing. What else did I write? I took notes. Yeah. And as soon as we can start supporting each other and supporting our fellow women and men that pole dance, then society will start to accept us. Because right now we're kind of at this moment where there's a lot of feuding and I mean, everyone talks about this a lot and it's been talked about on your podcast, but the only way that we're going to gain traction in mainstream society and become a legitimate sport and art form is if we can support each other and acknowledge that this started in a strip club and that's okay. And yes, there's Chinese pole and yes, there's this other stuff, but we need to support each other in all those different styles. So that's what I hope for. And then maybe once that happens, then there'll be more performance opportunities and people can make more of a living doing this. Yes. And so people that don't want to be a stripper could also, make money. And or I've heard your past guests talk about the X Games and stuff like that. Like that would be, I think that would be amazing.
Someone brought that up. I was like, yes, that makes so much sense. Like
it does. Well, my boyfriend's a skateboarder and he cannot understand how we don't get money for competing. Because even in really small skateboarding competitions, there's prize money. Even if it's not a big deal, there's sponsors, there's all this stuff. And it's I really feel like pole could be there. But I mean, the only problem is it's way more expensive to pole dance than it is to skateboard. Skateboarding is you get a board and you just go out there, So anyways, We'll see. Maybe,
and because kids are younger when they start skateboarding, but maybe if people, this whole kids and pole thing, well, maybe kids start poling early, then they'll be so freaking good that,
I know that scares me a little bit. I'm like, oh, they're going to be so good. That's the thing. I don't know if you did you watch the pole classic competition at Pole Expo this year?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Yeah. I went to Pole Expo last year and I watched that and I was so inspired. And then I just hated myself. I was like, I will never be that I was just like, wow, okay, I feel like a big nobody right now. But anyways.
Oh, but that doesn't matter. You are.
No, I know.
Yes. But no, you're
But yeah,
right.
those kids.
These are actually, and if you think about the people who are exceptional in pole today, a lot of them didn't start till, their late 20s. And it's, imagine if you started when you were 5 or 6, like.
Exactly. Like
killing it.
Natasha Wong is another one of my huge inspirations. I forgot to mention her in my pole crushes, but she's definitely, it was like Phoenix and Natasha were the first two like that I was really into. And part of that was because she didn't start till she was 29, which is how old I was when I started. So I was like, oh wow, can be done. So yeah, she's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I like that answer. It can be said ad nauseum, that's fine, but everyone says it in a different way too. So I completely agree with all of your thoughts on that. And so do you have anything coming up that you want to share with our audience? We're going to share your social media. Now we know that if someone's in Vancouver, they can come see you.
Yes, the Granville Strip.
Okay.
The Granville Strip, it's called.
You have a tutorial up on...
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. This is what I want to talk about. So glad that you reminded me. So I wanted to talk about Tantra tutorials. So this is basically Tantra Fitness has a subscription to like a tutorial website basically. And it is, I'm biased, but it's the best tutorials I've seen like there's over 400. We have a lot of it. Yeah, a lot. And we're adding them all the time. We have a lot of Tantra instructors, but we also have huge pole stars like Natasha Wong, like Phoenix Kazri, Stephen Rechless, Yukari, Josiah Badass. We have, who else do we have? I don't know. Many. There's lots. Tara Meyer, she's a Canadian champion. Yeah. Basically, every time we get a big pole star coming to Vancouver, we make them do a tutorial. So we have lots of those. And in terms of just like breaking stuff down, our instructors are really well trained and really like we all have our fitness theory. A lot of us are personal trainers, not myself, but a lot of us have an extensive knowledge of the body, of muscle engagement, and we talk about that. So I find in a lot of...
That's what Tammy started as. Like that was important to her, yeah.
Tammy, that's what makes Tantra so awesome, I think, is because we're trained so well in the body, in muscle engagement, all that stuff, because that's how you get good at stuff. And I see so many tutorials that are just like, invert, hook the leg, yay. And they don't explain actually how to do it or how to, and it's like, that's fine if you're already a professional athlete that understands that stuff. But if you're coming just off the street and you need to know that. So our tutorials are awesome for that. We have pole tricks, we have exotic dance, we have full routines, we have stretch, like a stretch class, we have cardio classes, there's so many. So I'm on there. You can see I've got some pole tricks, got some floor tricks. I have some of my signature moves like the worm in heels that I like to do all the time. It's like side note about the worm. Like that used to be
Sydney puts the worm into her pole competitions all the time.
Yes, I've done it now.
Drunk at a wedding. I love it.
Yeah, because that used to be literally me drunk everywhere doing the worm. Before I did pole, I would just get drunk and I would do the worm and I'd make everybody watch me. And then like I'd do it, I'd get drunker through the night, and then like I'd start like hitting my chin on the ground, or I'd be like all cut up, and people don't even care anymore. Anyways, when I started pole, like my older sister was like, yeah, of course, because it's just the worm, but you're on a pole. And I'm like, yeah, and all my favorite moves are like body waves and body rolls. I'm like, it is. I just do the worm everywhere I go. So you can learn to do the worm with me in Tantra Tutorials. So if you go to tantratutorials.com, you can sign up. We have a subscription. You can either pay monthly or yearly. And
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I love it. I even pay for a subscription. I don't even get it free, but like.
It's that good.
Yeah, it is good. Especially if you can't get to a class or, it's really, it can be really helpful. So I love them. So definitely check that out. And if you're in Vancouver and you want to take some pole classes, come to Tantra. You can take some classes with me, or if you want to throw money at me, you can come watch me dance at the Granville Strip. Yeah. So, but in terms of that, like, I I'm not. Like I said, I'm taking a little hiatus from competing, so we'll see. I'm sure I'll get back to it eventually. I'm like competitive. I think I will.
You've only also been dancing for like, only 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And like, so I feel like you have a long journey ahead of you.
I feel like I have too. I've just been taking a little break from the competition world.
Okay.
I would love to do like Dance Filthy. I would love to do that, or pole theater. But actually, there's now an exotic dance category at the Canadian Pole Fitness Championship. So I'm thinking of doing that, but it's almost like, if they tell me I have to cover my gluteal fold, like I can't even deal. I can't deal with it. It's like, we need to just like make that not a thing. You need the gluteal fold to stick to the pole for certain moves. Like,
that's true. That's
frustrating.
True. I don't compete, so I'm not affected by that rule. I always have my gluteal fold out at the studio, so I never thought about that.
I love my gluteal fold. It's amazing. I should name it.
Like you have a stage name, you should also have a gluteal fold name.
Yes, that's a good idea. So and I may be teaching some workshops later. I don't have anything super lined up right now that I can tell you about, but just you follow me on social media at Miss_Sydney_Claire. Then I usually post about whatever I'm up to, so you can, and I post lots of sexy movement. So
cool. Okay, so before I let you go, are you able to leave us with an empowering message or quote or anecdote, something to sign off with?
Yes, I would like to leave you with a quote.
Okay.
From Naomi Wolf, who is a feminist writer. So the quote is, "For I conclude that," restart. Okay, the quote is, "For I conclude that the enemy is not lipstick, but guilt itself, that we deserve lipstick if we want it, and free speech. We deserve to be sexual and serious, or whatever we please. We are entitled to wear cowboy boots to our own revolution," or pleasers, in this case. So basically, I just wanted to, I've talked a bit about these kind of things, but that like, it's okay to be sexy if you want to. And it doesn't mean by expressing yourself in a sexual way doesn't make you any less intelligent or any less serious it doesn't detract from the other areas of your life. Exactly. So I really just want and hope that everyone in the pole community can maybe like hear a quote like that and maybe rethink some of their judgments, and society in general. And I have to thank my friend Sonia Sloan for that quote. She clued me into that particular quote. Gotta give credit where credit's due, but it just really spoke to me. And also, like, if you don't want to be exotic dance, like, that's cool too, because like it goes both ways. A lot of maybe a lot of strippers or exotic dancers are kind of hating on the pole world, and there really is room for both. And especially as someone who, like, I've run the gamut of like all that stuff. Like, I was against exotic dance and now I'm a stripper, and like I competed and I've done all these different things and I teach and all that stuff. And it's just made me realize that they're all valid points of view. And I really that's like my dream for the world and pole dancing in general. So,
the whole community is a microcosm for the entire world. Like,
exactly.
We just respect each other and honor each other for, making whatever decision it is that we want to do. So,
yeah, exactly.
I love that. Awesome. Yeah. Oh, Sydney, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
You're welcome.
It was so fun talking with you.
That was super fun. Yeah. Thanks for asking me.
Of course.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Pole Parlour podcast. Want more? Visit poleparlour.com for show notes and to link to the Facebook group where you can connect with other poloholics and continue the conversation. Listen to past episodes and subscribe to new episodes on the website, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud. Lots of love, babes. Thanks for listening.